creepy and cool TikToks that will blow your mind. Are you ready? Are you ready? Let's go!
Disclaimer: this video is for entertainment purposes only. Please do your own research, as these clips haven't been fact-checked.
The most rigorous psilocybin trial ever just got published, and it's time that we got serious about what this data shows. Just 17 patients got a single dose of magic mushrooms. In just days, half were in remission. By 6 weeks, they were 10 times more likely to be better than placebo. This is faster than any antidepressant on the market. These are real exciting headlines. And yeah, 17 patients is the best data that we have. That's how thin the evidence is for a treatment that everybody's racing to scale. Here's the problem though. Every patient guessed correctly whether they got the drug or the placebo. It's mushrooms. You can't separate the molecule from the experience of knowing that you just took a powerful drug. And the safety signal here is real. 2 patients had severe anxiety requiring treatments for weeks after a single dose. And this is in a controlled clinical setting with therapy built in. Psychedelics are going to help millions. I genuinely believe that. But the best trial we've got is 17 people with failed blinding, and 1 in 8 had a serious adverse reaction. This isn't a reason to stop, but it's a reason to slow down and make sure that we get this right.
Control clinical setting. Sounds absolutely awful.
Here's another
Hey,
one.
I'm just going to make this very crystal clear. Y'all are either going to have to fight or you're going to die. They're coming for our water. They're coming for water. They don't want us to live a life where we have water. We're already paying for it, but they want us just basic consumptions so they can have it for what they want. You're going to either fight or you're going to die because none of us can survive without water, and they don't care about us.
No.
If you're not serving little white America in the Middle East, if you ain't working, then you're obsolete. And honestly, they don't really need us because they can build welfare cities all over this country. That's all they care.
Now, you literally heard what she just said, right? And you seen the article that I put up earlier. Are you going to listen or not? I can't lie. I've been talking about this shit, bro. If you're not playing the game of chess, it's checkmate for you, bro. Real shit. Oh my God.
Revolution starts now.
Urgent alert. Health authorities issued a nationwide warning early this morning for a possible E. coli contamination found in bottled water from several popular brands distributed across the United States. More than a dozen major retail chains, including 7-Eleven, Wegmans, and ShopRite, have already begun pulling products off their shelves as a precaution, after discovering that certain lots may be contaminated with this highly dangerous bacteria. The companies involved say they are cooperating with the federal investigation, but thousands of consumers report they were never notified and only learned about the risk through social media. Many American families may still have these bottles sitting at home without realizing the danger. Millions of gallons have already been distributed in states like Texas, California, Arizona, Florida, and New York. Health experts warn this could become one of the largest bottled water safety crises of the year in the United States if action isn't taken quickly. If you have bottled water at home right now, check the brand and the lot code before drinking it. The next bottle could be contaminated, and E.
My goodness.
So here's a video that's going viral. Look, cement. This guy pours brown sugar into the cement mixture. Remember, brown sugar into cement mixture. After it's already been mixed, he comes and takes out a cup to show everybody what cement does to brown sugar. A day later, it still hasn't hardened. 2 days later, it's still barely there. 1 week later, let's see, we're ready to see how hard it has become after a week. We're going to dump it out and see what the hammer... Oh, okay. No need for the hammer. Brown sugar won't let concrete bond. Anyways, the reason these videos are going viral right now is people are basically saying, this is how you stop the AI data centers. Just go where the shit is being done and pour sugar into the brown concrete. Now, I'm not saying go do it. I'm not saying it works. I am just passing along the information that now these videos are going around among a lot of activists who do not agree with AI data centers, and these activists are claiming that if you put brown sugar in the cement mixture, it stops the cement from bonding, and thus you can hurt the AI data centers and that want to be built.
Now brown sugar will be banned, or some made up story from a scientific point of view will try and scare people from buying brown sugar.
This 36-year-old woman had dreams of buying a house in Italy, but then she was kidnapped twice in one day. Stephanie is a 36-year-old executive from Melbourne who had hopes of buying a home in Italy. Is now explaining how her trip with friends to Italy October of 2025 turned into a nightmare. Known for her DIY house renovation videos online, she was interested in Italy's $1 housing program. It is an initiative where you can buy abandoned or dilapidated homes in Italy for €1. It was particularly
Oh, I heard about this.
drawn to an area in Sicily for its kiteboarding community. And while Stephanie was staying in a town near Marsala, Italy, 36-year-old met up with a group of fellow kiteboarders, and that's where her nightmare began. After making friends with these fellow kiteboarders, she ended up going out with them one night, group deciding to go to another bar, and she accepted a ride from a small group of them with an expat driving the vehicle, then quickly realized she had just been kidnapped. Eventually, the 36-year-old fell silent and texted the location to her kiteboard instructor. After refusing to stop the car, she said, "I may as well check the car door." Discovering that it was unlocked, Stephanie then jumped out of the vehicle and ran. Then continued to run until she found a place to hide and made sure they weren't following after her. Stephanie then kept walking until she got to a small town and found a security vehicle with its warning lights on. Soon finding the guard that was patrolling the area and used a translation app to tell him what had just happened to her. He then notified his boss to explain what was happening and then offered Stephanie a ride back to her room. She was finally safe, or so she thought, before this took a sinister turn. Before getting Stephanie back to her hotel room, the security guard then kidnaps her. Stephanie, confused, telling him this was not the way to her hotel, he just pulls over into an alleyway and is determined to use her translate on her phone. So I finally gave him my phone and he typed into the phone, "What are you going to do for me for driving you home?" Realizing she was actively being kidnapped a second time, she said, "So I just did the same thing. The door was open and I ran into a vineyard." Eventually shaking off the security guard who tried to follow her, she realized she knew where she
Good thing she has some good intuition.
was and just walked back to her hotel, hiding every time she saw headlights coming because she wasn't going to chance being kidnapped a third time. When she finally made it back to her hotel room safe, she cried all the next day. 36-year-old left shaken by the entire incident and is serving it up as a warning to others, stating that her entire experience wasn't even at the hands of just Italian men because the first man who kidnapped her was a European, pointing out that she's honestly just lucky that it wasn't a lot worse. Stephanie explaining that she realizes just how lucky she was, that her dream of owning a home in Italy has been put on pause for now.
Leave the country, girl.
Cannibalism might seem kind of gruesome. It kind of is. I'm going to give you a little background of what got me to this position to run this bill. So back in 2019, I heard that Washington State was starting to do human composting, and that disturbed me. I wanted to address this because what I didn't want to see is bags of compost with human bone fragments. I want to stop it getting into the human food supply. I was on a plane this summer, watched a video of some food show, and the three contestants tasted the food and they had to guess what was in it. It was some kind of a sausage. And one of the options they told these people that was in the food was human flesh.
Can you tell us the 3 secret ingredients that might be found in this amazing sausage that you made for us today?
The 3 secret ingredients that might be found in the sausage are fish liver, human flesh, or shark.
Are those really the 3 ingredients?
Yeah, fish liver, human flesh, or shark.
Is this...
Is that a problem?
Is that...
And there's a stigma surrounding it.
We're clear, we're good. Eagle cleared it. We're good. Come on, Brian, please.
All right. Thank you, Keith. Thank you very much. All right, Joe.
No way.
Fish liver, shark,
Or human flesh.
God help you, it better be shark.
All right, 2, what do you think it's going to be?
Help you.
Shark 2.
Shark?
The liver is like too obvious, and I don't think it's human flesh, so I think it's shark.
Chef Keith, can you tell us what is the secret ingredient in this dish?
Human flesh.
Yes, I'm afraid you're both wrong. It is human flesh.
No. No.
Whoa.
That's not okay. That's not all right.
The way our society's going and the direction we're going,
Not okay.
this is going to be normalized. There's only one state in the union that it is illegal. Cannibalism is illegal, and that is Idaho.
You know what? Slowly they are introducing cannibalism as normal. Beware, people.
Y'all, this is actually crazy. A woman bought a bottle of orange juice, and on the bottom of the bottle it says, "Stuck in bottle factory, send help." Now, the orange juice brand is Innocent, which is like a massive juice company in the UK and Europe. And I did some digging, and it says that their main factory is in the Netherlands. It's just really creepy that you buy a bottle of orange juice and that's on the bottom. And other people were talking about how Shein also had the same thing happen. People were asking for help on the tags of their clothes. Somebody even said they used to buy Bazooka gum and it would have it on it. And others were saying they bought fortune cookies that would say, "Please help me in the fortune." Now, obviously, I'm from the United States in the South. We don't have Innocent orange juice, so I'm wondering if anybody from UK has seen this on their Innocent juice bottles. Is there anybody that works at this bottle factory that can explain why this says this? Or do y'all need help? What's going on? Have y'all seen anything like this before? Let me know. Because this is just creepy as fuck.
Is slave labor being used, and none of them are safe.
This footage was captured in the highland region of Chiapas, Mexico during a severe storm event and documents angel spirits moving through the region. Community elders of the Tzotzil people have identified luminous formations moving across the mountainside in defined paths as being consistent with angel spirit movement. Angels move across the mountains during storms, their presence made visible through lightning. The angel spirits act as guardians of the natural world. The Tzotzil people have advised that concern around these spirit-driven atmospheric events is not necessary, as angels are a source of good in this world.
What is that? I think it's just lightning or thunder. What do you think?
They knew they were feeding you disease-forming foods. Listen.
Coca-Cola, Kraft, PepsiCo, General Mills, and Nestle. Their products include Oreos, Cola, Doritos, mac and cheese, Cheerios, and Sour Patch Kids. The city's lawsuit argues that these companies knew they were selling food that made people sick, but sold it anyway. As a result, San Francisco says it had to pick up the tab by treating illnesses it says are caused by eating all that ultra-processed food. Vani Hari is a best-selling author and food activist. She joins me now. So San Francisco's mayor, Daniel Lurie, said today, families deserve to know what's in their food. We are not going to let our residents be misled about the products in our grocery stores. This is what you've been saying.
You know, this isn't just a lawsuit, it's a reckoning. The ultra-processed food industry is finally being held accountable for feeding disease and not nutrition. These companies didn't just sell products, they sold sickness, and the city of San Francisco is suing them for it. For years, our movement has been shining a light on these exact tactics the lawsuit describes. Engineering cravings, chemicals nobody asked for, and marketing aimed straight at our kids. We've pushed for transparency, we've pushed for safer ingredients. Big Food's old playbook isn't working anymore.
But comment the word join if you want the detailed herbal protocol for every disease and to cleanse all of these toxins up out of your system, and share this to your story to warn a friend.
In case you missed it, the pesticide that went viral for making male frogs become female was just affirmed as being safe again and given the go-ahead to continue to be sprayed by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Rather than protect fish and wildlife from the second most common pesticide that likely harms more than 1,000 species and is banned in 60 countries, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service is continuing their approach to put chemicals first. Center for Biological Diversity challenged this pesticide, but unfortunately, it will continue to be used since corn is heavily reliant on it across the country. This is another great reminder to support local and organic farms and start growing a few pieces of produce at home. And if you are going to plant corn, it's best to plant it in grids for maximum pollination. And to help you do this, I mapped over 7,000 farms across the country and carry 190 heirloom seeds on my site. myhealth4.com will be including 3 free seeds with all orders made this week.
You need to have water, you need to have a radio on batteries, and you need to have a flashlight on batteries to make sure that you can survive the first 36 hours.
Well, that was a statement from NATO. What are you going to do when you wake up in the morning and you have no electricity? The grid has gone down. Are you tracking with me? When the power goes out, whether for days, weeks, or longer, you'll want this solar-powered power bank in your hands. It's designed to deliver up to 11 full phone charges, making sure you stay connected no matter what. This device is built tough. It's shockproof, waterproof, and dustproof, packed with features like a flashlight, USB ports, a laser pointer, embedded cords for any device, plus wireless charging, and even a thermometer. It's the ultimate tool for any on-the-go situation. This is a great time to buy one because the manufacturer has gone crazy and has it at 70% off. So if that link is still available, grab yours today.
Well, we have been eating fake chicken, and the regional vice president of Campbell's just came.
I've been saying this for years. It's very, very obvious, especially if you come from another country and you taste the meat and vegetables in the U.S. My biggest complaint when I moved to the U.S. at 18 years old was the chicken tastes like nothing. My second biggest complaint was the broccoli tastes like nothing and it looks weird. My third biggest complaint was the strawberries taste like nothing and it looks weird. Guess what?
Wow.
Strawberries confirmed to be fake. Look it up. Chicken now confirmed to be fake. Broccoli fully GMO'd. This is the problem with, there's so many things wrong with the U.S., but this is the problem when you have nothing to compare it to. You think what you're eating is normal. And I was living in the U.S. for so long, I just kind of accepted it. But when I started buying more food at the farmer's market, you are reminded that that's not how chicken tastes. And just watch the rest of this video. You will see that Campbell's has admitted they've been 3D printing chicken. There was someone at my door. But yes, we have to think about what else are we being poisoned by. But if you think of it logically, how much chicken are we consuming a day? There's no way we're raising and slaughtering enough chickens to handle the chicken consumption or the normal meat consumption in the US. Of course, we're stretching the meat. Of course, they're putting additives in the meat. Of course, they're adding other ground meats into the ground beef. Like, this is pretty obvious. So, something you don't want to think about, but something that's definitely happening.
This website has the entire Epstein files categorized like your own phone. Now, the first thing you're going to do is open your browser and type this in. And yes, it's an obvious mock-up of gmail.com. On the very first page, you'll be able to look at every email as if you were Jeffrey himself. You'll see this little bar at the bottom. If you click on the second one, you'll be able to look at every picture that has been uploaded by the DOJ about the Epstein files. If you click on the third option of the bar, you'll be able to look at every document that the DOJ has uploaded. Now, obviously, they're all redacted if you've never looked at them before. Now, the fourth option on the bar will show you his actual calendar with where he had flights to, who he had to meet with, and more. The fifth part of the bar has multiple options. You can even click messages and see all the text messages he was sending from his actual phone and who was sending ones back to him. Other options include the entire flight log, Jamazon, Gemini, Jotify, JMessage, Jacebook. You can pretty much get the idea. Everything on this website is what was released from the DOJ. None of it is speculation or hearsay. But if you don't want to use this site, you can obviously look up the files and do your own research.
Google should not be partaking and conducting one of the largest open-air biological experiments in U.S. history, because that's what this is. They do plan to release 64 million, actually. It's not 32 million like many outlets are claiming. You counted up the numbers. It's 16 million per year over 2 years in both California and Florida. So we'll have 60 million. And yeah, these male mosquitoes are infected with Wolbachia bacteria. So they'll release them into the wild, and that will suppress the mosquito populations because their babies, they won't be viable. The eggs won't be viable. Now, here's where the risk comes in. When you suppress an entire species artificially, that's going to screw up the ecosystem in that whole area. So basically, birds, bats, frogs, fish, they all eat these mosquitoes. So you wipe them out, they're going to have one less food item, and that's going to screw things up. And it could be irreversible. So if it goes wrong, sorry, Florida and California, your animals may start to migrate to other places, and then you might have other invasive species come in to fill what Google just eliminated, and that could be even worse. They tested this out, Google did in Fresno in 2018. It suppressed the mosquitoes, but as soon as they were done dumping the mosquitoes, they all came back. And so what they require is a subscription service. Google wants these states, wants these corporations to subscribe to Google's mosquito releasing subscription service, because that's the only way it even works.
You ever get caught in a power outage, put you some salt in some hot water, stir it up good so that it makes the water conductive, then drop you a battery in there, and then get you a light bulb and check it out. See that? How easy that was? It even stays on when I take it out of the water. Alright, all joking aside, these are emergency light bulbs. When they're in emergency mode, anytime you make connectivity between here and here, the lights will light up. So that salt water just made that connection. Now, when you have them in AC mode, they're just regular light bulbs. And then even if the power goes out, you don't even have to unscrew them or turn the power off. You can just switch it to emergency mode, and because they're already making connectivity, they will come on. They do come with these little adapters that has an on-off button here so that you can actually carry them around and use them as a lantern or something if you needed to. Get these in a 4-pack or a 6-pack. Like I said, they're your normal light bulbs for everyday use. Power goes off, flip that switch, and you have power. If you want some of these, they run them on a pretty awesome sale. I'm going to put you a link right down here.
Could a living bulldozer be the secret to stopping the desert? China is testing a radical theory, using an army of 100,000 pigs to turn barren sand into fertile ground. It sounds like a myth, but the early results are shocking. This isn't just farming, it's biological engineering. Pigs are natural tillers. Their powerful snouts break the desert's hard crust, allowing the earth to breathe. As they move, they bury seeds and inject the sand with high-grade organic fertilizer that machines simply can't match. In test zones, vegetation cover reportedly exploded from 3% to 96%. By fixing the soil structure, the sand regained a lost superpower, the ability to hold water. Instead of running off, rain now stays in the ground, fueling a forest that shouldn't exist. If this scale up to 5 million pigs works, it could change the planet's climate forever. If you believe nature has the best solutions, hit that follow button.
Some of the pictures released today in the U.S. government's UFO and extraterrestrial disclosure are pretty interesting and outright weird. So I just thought I'd show you a couple of them now that really grabbed my attention. This is a picture from like the 1950s. You see the little guy right there? By the way, the happy face is covering up stuff we don't need to see. That's supposed to be an extraterrestrial alien. Yeah, that's what they're saying it is. That's from the government's own archives. And that picture was also enhanced so we can see it even better. So take another look. This is definitely weird. And if that is an extraterrestrial, these people were parading it around like a stray cat they found in the street. Now I zoomed in on that image so we can get a better view. And once again, I covered up the part that no one needs to see. But this is really weird looking. That very well could be an extraterrestrial. I don't know. I would absolutely discard that image if it wasn't in the government's own archive that they kept secret from the public for decades. Then we got this one of an object that was recorded from a military jet. This is absolutely a craft of some kind. Can't get a scale of how big it is though. And once again, it's weird, baby. It's weird. Remember, that's also from the government's own archive that they've been keeping secret from us for decades. So my question is, what do you think about the recently or just released UFO extraterrestrial evidence from the United States government? Because to me, it's pretty interesting, but it doesn't really clear anything up. But like I said, I want to know what you think. Let me know down in the comment section. Shabadoo Bushkis, Shabadoo.
Most people don't realize this, but your ears aren't just ears. They're mapped. The older systems, meridian lines and acupuncture, show us that specific points on the ear are linked to different organs and the nervous system. For instance, some people specifically pierce the top of the ear to help with migraines. When you pierce through these areas, you're not just going through skin, you're engaging points meant to connect to something else. Acupuncture uses these same points to help the body. So what happens when we put metal through them and leave it there permanently? In the past, people didn't just randomly alter their bodies. There was always a reason. Now, multiple piercings have become the norm, yet most people never stop to consider the effect they might have. Once you know what these points are connected to, it changes everything.
I beg your damn Food and Drug Administration ass pardon. What is this? They're making fries out of pig. They got Percocet fries now. Some of y'all think I ain't gonna be eating. Now y'all don't know what y'all be eating. You don't know you don't know Perc 30's fries. That's crinkle fries.
These are some of the only real images ever recorded inside Willowbrook State School, one of the most disturbing institutions in U.S. history. In the 1960s, this facility was supposed to care for children with disabilities, but behind its walls, thousands of them were living in conditions that were later described as unlivable. The institution was built for a few thousand residents, yet it held far more, forcing children into overcrowded rooms where basic hygiene had completely broken down. Many were left sitting or lying on the floor for hours, sometimes days, with little supervision and almost no human interaction. But what made Willowbrook even more disturbing wasn't just the neglect. It was what was done to the children on purpose. During repeated outbreaks of hepatitis, researchers used the situation to study the disease, deliberately exposing some children to infection in order to observe how it spread. At the time, this was justified as research, even though the environment itself made the illness almost unavoidable. For years, none of this reached the public. That changed in 1972 when journalist Geraldo Rivera entered the facility with a hidden camera and revealed what was happening inside. The footage showed crowded wards, children neglected, and conditions that shocked the entire country. The report caused national outrage, but despite everything that was exposed, Willowbrook remained open for years afterward. And what makes this story even harder to process is that
organic wine. Now, this is a huge, multi-billion-dollar industry, if you guys don't know. Now, what most people don't know is that the wine industry lobbied against having any labels on the wine. You ever notice how there's no ingredients? It just says wine. That's it. Well, the wine industry lobbied so that you wouldn't find out that they're coating all of the bottles of wine with sulfites and putting chemicals inside of them. So what you want to do is when you're looking for wine, you want to find organic wine that is sulfite free. You know why people get a hangover with alcohol and wine? Is because all the sulfites and the toxins that they put into it to preserve it. So when you get organic wine, you don't have to worry about that hangover that you're getting. It's because you're poisoning your body with chemicals. And it was funny because there was a documentary called Wine Revealed, which is a 12-hour documentary on wine. And it talked about how people in Italy were living off of organic wine up until the age of 98. No water, no nothing, just wine. Organic wine. And the thing is the organic wine is not sprayed with the chemicals and all the toxins and everything that they put all over it. So if you do decide to explore a little bit of wine, and I'm just putting it out there because people have asked, if you do decide to explore it, you should look into organic wine.
So this is regular grain finished beef, pale in color, very white fat, and this is nutrient dense grass finished beef, regenerative, nutrient density verified. So the scam with grass fed beef is there's actually really no true definition from the USDA. You can call something grass fed and it could be fed grass in a feedlot. There are some organizations out there like the American Grass Fed Association that make sure that folks are truly finishing their beef on grass. If you want to get the best grass finished beef, most nutrient dense grass finished beef in the world, you're going to shop at Perennial Pastures because we go out to the ranchers. We understand their practices, and the products that we produce on our ranch are verified nutrient dense. We test our beef for nutrient density, and that at the end of the day is very hard to cheat at, is the verification of the nutrient density, because that's the end product, the physical minerals and phytochemicals and nutrients that are in the beef that you can't cheat at that.
This man has been trying to kill a single tick for 16 days now, and he still hasn't succeeded. He drowned it, he suffocated it, and even locked it in the freezer for a whole day. But every time, the tick came back to life. YouTuber Rusty Cage first left it underwater for a whole week. The tick survived, so he almost completely deprived it of oxygen, hoping that this time it would finally be over. But as soon as the tick sensed the carbon dioxide from human breath, it came back to life again and started looking for a victim. There was only one method left, 24 hours in the freezer. This time, the tick really did look dead, but as soon as it was warmed up a little, it started moving again, and the reason turned out to be even scarier. It was a Lone Star tick, one of the most aggressive and resilient ticks in the world. Its bite, in some cases, can cause a person to develop an allergy to red meat. After that, the body starts to perceive beef, pork, and lamb as a threat.
What is going to happen with the new executive order that the Trump administration just signed?
They've given priority vouchers for sure for 3 companies to go through the FDA process faster. One of them is Compass Pathways for psilocybin for treatment-resistant depression. The other is USONA, which is the nonprofit for psilocybin for major depressive disorder. And the other is this company called Transcend that is using methadone, MDMA light, you could say, for PTSD. I think that these companies will be given faster reviews. There will be $50 million coming out of the federal government for psychedelic research, maybe entirely directed to Ibogaine. I think it will have a positive effect. How far it will go remains to be seen, but I think it's just a sea change in federal attitudes towards psychedelics. I anticipate within the next couple months, there'll be some kind of an announcement. Here's the path forward for MDMA. Within the next couple of years, we'll have quite a few psychedelics. And my prediction would be 5 to 10 years, there'll be like 10,000 psychedelic clinics all over America.
This guy found the cure to mental anguish. Check this out.
I feel lonely. It really just means I'm disconnected. And I need to worship. Psalms 9:1. Whenever I feel angry, it really just means I'm wounded. And I need to practice forgiveness. Colossians 3:13. Oh, whenever I feel anxious, it really just means I'm faithless. And all I really need to do is surrender. Psalms 55:22. Whenever I'm feeling depressed, I'm really just hopeless. And I need to read my Bible more. Psalms 39:14. Whenever I'm feeling lustful, my God, really means I'm starving, my Lord. And I really need to fast and pray. That one gets 2. Matthew 17:21. Whenever I feel stuck, I'm really just being disobedient. And I really need to obey. Isaiah 1:9.
Jason Crawford is on point here. I believe most mental health issues stem from a spiritual root and that they can be overcome through proper application of faith. And other people like Christian neuroscientist Caroline Leaf, she agrees with this stance. If you agree too, follow for more.
God is always the answer. Ooh.
Just when I thought it couldn't get any crazier, here comes Prosthetic. Look at this shit. This is a headband that you will wear to bed. Get this, will let you control your dreams. And like, no shit, this is actually coming out this year. Not only can you control your dreams, it'll remember every dream for you and put it on a fucking hard drive. I don't know about you, but this is starting to sound a lot like a movie we all know. Yeah, that's motherfucking Inception. This is crazy. I know some of you little dirty motherfuckers have had some wild dreams. The concept of like controlling a lucid dream, that's pretty fucking cool.
You know, this data will be sold for a fortune.
Di sini ya? Iya. Di lubang itu hangat. Gak takut gelap? Kalau bareng-bareng enggak. Mau pegang sebentar? Boleh. Lembut banget kalian.
This Indonesian girl discovered 2 tuyul at the base of a large tree while returning home from her grandmother's house one evening. Tuyul are small humanoid spirit entities documented across Indonesia. They are rarely encountered in the wild. They are traditionally kept as servants and are known to steal on behalf of their owners. These 2 appear to have no keeper. I don't speak the Indonesian language, but tone carries most of the meaning, and I was able to understand about 90% of what was said. I will now summarize the interaction. The Tuyul acknowledged the tree as their home. When asked if they feared the dark, one responded, "Not when we are together." The girl requested permission to touch one of them, and the Tuyul allowed it. The locals tried to find the Tuyul after the girl's interaction, but the Tuyul have not been seen again.
Mau pegang sebentar? Boleh. Lembut banget kalian.
Man, I'm from Indonesia. This is not real. AI.
This new MRI display is the coolest thing I've ever seen, I think. There's now evidence that humans could see magnetic fields. Biologically, we have developed a lot of tools to sense invisible things. A lot of animals can still do this, but in the broad spectrum of reality, we only experience a tiny fraction of it. But there's a ton of weird things dormant in DNA. We used to call this junk DNA. We thought it was leftover remnants from the evolutionary processes, but now we know that it helps us adapt to our environment, like switches on and off for the genes. In the back of the eye, there are rod and cone cells. In the inner segment of the rod cell is something called a cryptochrome, which contains a gene that would allow you to see magnetic fields. Then, when you find out DNA acts like a fractal antenna in the exact frequency of the electromagnetic spectrum of the Earth, this might be a useful trait for DNA to express. This is a basic fractal antenna. It looks like those things they used to put on top of cathedrals. Very simple. The big cross interacts with bigger waves. As you get smaller inside those crosses, they interact with smaller and smaller wavelengths. DNA also does this, but it folds into a ball. And when you unfold it, you have a fractal wave expressing similar genes. The first time we see these patterns are in ancient Greece in the Temple of Artemis on the Ionic columns. Long time ago. But what the exact mechanism is that switches this on and off and activates that processing region, still a mystery. This world may be an illusion compared to theirs, which is exactly what we discuss in the movie Illusion. That's me, I'm in it. My friends and I talk about a lot of this weird stuff humans go through in this experience. Tons of great stuff in here that I've covered in Cryptex, and Hathor has been kind enough to give me a free pass to watch it for free this weekend. If you go to my profile and click that link, there will be an icon with the movie poster. That's where you can watch it for free this weekend. Let me know what you...
Humans are the only species out of tune with the cosmic symphony.
Bill Gates openly said that the world population is too big and needs to be reduced. Yeah. And then you see cancer, depression on the rise. Rampant. It's just something ultra sinister is happening.
We know that MK Ultra happened.
We know those files happen.
Nobody went to jail.
We could do the most atrocious things and they won't care.
So who's to say like your 10 hours a day doom scroller isn't doing something to themselves exactly like what they were like. Maybe LSD was a quick, like we can put you on a dose that gets you there like that. But if we can convince some teenager to start rotting his brain now, by the time he like makes it through college,
while his brain is still developed,
we've got him programmed.
Oh yeah.
If we can make him do this a couple times.
Yeah.
Johnny here. Ask yourself why they would use AI, artificial intelligence, to fake something they could have easily done in person to fake it in the first place. Things are about to get really, really freaking weird, and I'll show you just how weird in 1 minute. Stop spreading fear! Telling people what's happening right in front of you is spreading fear? Of course, clearly we already knew it was a distraction to begin with, but why are they now using AI to use it? And they've been doing this, by the way. Remember BB and all that other stuff? So they've been doing this.
Really?
But right now, why are they using it to fake it? And of course, I'm talking about this Tate situation. So shout out to Into Thin Air. He caught this on his Twitter, and you can see right behind me, somehow his foot just disappeared. So it's clearly not authentic footage. But wait, what did I tell y'all when the BB thing was happening? They kept releasing these really weird videos that they are perfecting this AI right under our nose purposefully. They're even throwing obvious things in there so people will call it out, but purposefully, because they want to see what we're going to fall for and what we won't fall for. Like that other video, if you don't know, what happens is AI videos has microscopic branding in the pixels of a video, and that's how AI can tell if it's AI generated or not. And they're obviously using this and bypassing it. How many fake videos do you think they've made that people thought were real that the AI detector can't even tell? Now, how weird really get? Well, say that something just insane out of this world happens in a different country. Who's to say it actually happened in the first place? If pushed in the right way, humankind would go into an apocalyptic war with things we don't even know because we thought that something happened. Stop spreading fear! Maybe you're just a fearful person. The only thing I'm scared of is God. If you think people are deceived right now, just wait.
Yours are sexually transmitted diseases, so you have to be aware and tested for all of them.
Los Angeles porn stars have higher rates of STDs than prostitutes in Nevada.
1 in 4 porn stars has contracted either gonorrhea or chlamydia.
I got chlamydia my first month I was there. Everybody will even tell you at least once I've gotten something. There's bacterial vaginosis, which basically makes your vagina smell like death. Like death.
I contracted chlamydia and herpes is a non-curable disease. And there's been so many cases of people who have been infected with HIV or syphilis.
The Los Angeles porn industry syphilis outbreak now has 9 confirmed cases.
You can have over 100 different strains of genital warts and still work in the porn industry. It's fucking amazing, isn't it?
What?
I mean, look, they're called SD fucking Ds. What are we doing? The S part of it. The diseases are gonna go around.
I had girls who would come in and I'd wonder, why did you show up today? Because there's burn marks where they just had warts burned off.
The guys that work, eventually you're gonna catch something at one time in this business.
Do you know anybody in the industry who hasn't caught an STD?
Who hasn't gotten an STD? Oh, no. Yeah, no, there's nobody who hasn't gotten an STD. What a silly question. No, I mean, you know, in your first, 6 months, you're going to catch something.
There's a saying in America, right? You lay down with dogs, you will get fleas.
At least 1,000 years have been added to the timeline. The fall of Rome was actually a worldwide cataclysm. The meltdown is seen throughout the world. You can see the warping and bubbling of the bricks and blocks of Pompeii. And Cappadocia is one of the best examples. This grid meltdown was worldwide, covering everything in ash and pulverized buildings. Look. There was about a 1,000-year time crunch from 476 to 1500, meaning 1500 is actually 500. There was a massive mutant takeover leading up to the collapse or meltdown, which led to the widespread loss or hiding of records. Mutants took over worldwide and rewrote the history. The mutants or clones added 1,000 extra years to inject themselves into the history. Charlemagne and Carolingian architecture did not exist. Rome didn't build anything for 800 years supposedly. No new aqueducts, no roads, no ports. 700 years. That's why the Roman and Viking period ships are basically identical. They are contemporaries. Look. And these were the ships that supposedly reached America first. So Rome had to too. And then Bulgaria, 400 years after the fall, has buildings made of Roman cement. Look. But the recipe for Roman cement was lost hundreds of years prior in the fall. And it wasn't rediscovered until the 1800s. There aren't many deserts in Europe, but there is one in Bulgaria because of the meltdown. And this is Bulgaria. We see the meltdown in Spain. We see it in China. None of the stories about the carbon dating or the sediment make any sense. These Roman baths were supposedly buried from a flood, yet the ones in Exeter were purposely built over, supposedly. So a supposed tsunami in Turkey wiped out all these animals and ships. Ships were found with items that don't match each other's timeline. These items were supposed to exist hundreds of years apart. The Hippodrome is basically completely buried, just like Battery Wall in New York. And let's get into the coin thing, not just the J or I coins. Coins were restruck to change the dates, as you can see that M is off center. See? And there was a mass editing campaign of coins. Great recoinages or restriking of coins. Arabic and Roman coins from conflicting timelines were found beneath buried Scandinavian cities. And these phoenix buttons or coins were found everywhere from Haiti to Alaska, because Phoenicia was actually part of America. Look. Artifacts remain stagnant for hundreds of years. Art was basically static. Not all the events are fake, but there's a massive time crunch of events. Many say Constantine actually lived in the 1st century, and that the Quran was actually written in the 1st century as well. Christianity, Islam, and matrilineal Judaism were really contemporaries that got pushed on the world at the same time, and by the same people. And the Umayyad Caliphate worked to maintain matrilineal Judaism. Let's look at the Umberto Gallery from this local website. The M was added later to add years. History has been manufactured and inverted. Buildings that survived the reset have been repurposed. Buildings that don't support the narrative stay buried. The fall of Rome and the Maya were at the same time. It was a worldwide cataclysm followed by reset wars and subsequent resets. AI has injected and projected parasites into the timeline to alter it.
If you think that this is a beautiful, cute picture of a father and a daughter, you're wrong. This man is 22 and this baby is 9. Charlie Johns, Eunice Winstead, husband, wife. 1937 in Tennessee, okay? Charlie John, he becomes obsessed with his neighbor, Eunice Winstead, 9-year-old Eunice Winstead. He falls desperately in love with her and arranges with said 9-year-old Eunice Winstead to lie to her mother. She lied to her mom, not saying it was her fault. She was literally a baby, someone who had baby teeth in her mouth, and that man could have been in college. He quite literally paid a preacher $1 to marry them, and he did. And at this point, right, you would think the parents would find out and they'd be like, oh my gosh, off with your head. How could you do this? No, they literally said to the public, at least he's not beating her. It's fine. Just leave them alone. Oh my gosh. And Charlie even went to the newspapers and was like, I just wish everybody could leave well enough alone. A couple years after they got married, if you want to call it that, he pulled her out of school because she was getting in trouble and immediately started impregnating her. By 15, she had her first kid and she continued on and on to have multiple children. Later on, one of their daughters, Evelyn, was 17 years old, like years down the line. She gets a 21-year-old boyfriend. Homeboy meeting, well, he is not my homeboy. That demon called Charlie Jones, he had the 21-year-old arrested talking about, oh, he's too old for my daughter.
What?
Yeah. So I had to share that with y'all. I made a video on this like a year ago, but I had to bring it.
I watched, that is sick, by the way. Was Abducted in Plain Sight. It was on Netflix.
Back.
Scientists just figured out how to fully control what you're dreaming about, and the results that they found are straight out of a movie. So these neuroscientists at Northwestern University just ran an experiment where they gave people a set of unsolvable brain testers before bed. Each puzzle actually had its own unique soundtrack that was playing in the background while the person worked on it. And basically, once these people were able to fall asleep and enter REM, which is the stage where dreaming happens, the researchers started replaying those exact soundtracks. And by the way, it just worked. They're saying that 75% of all participants actually started dreaming about the specific puzzles that the scientists chose to trigger. And that's not even the part that's going to blow your mind, because the next morning, those people actually solved 42% of the puzzles that they were dreaming about, but only 17% of the ones that they didn't. Their problem-solving ability actually more than doubled just because the scientists were able to steer the dreams towards it. These researchers are now officially saying that dreams might be one of the most powerful creative tools the human brain has, and we have been ignoring them this entire time.
Okay, so safe areas in the United States. Well, people say, well, why would people ask about safe areas? What is this about? Just in case you didn't see my other video.
This gentleman is a former naval intelligence officer and also worked for a 3-letter agency under the United States government. He says that by 2027, something big is going to happen, and that you need to move to the center of the United States, but not by the Mississippi River. Take a listen. And of course, all this is for entertainment purposes only, may or may not be true. We don't have anything to verify his credibility, but he seems credible from what I see. Nevertheless, it hasn't been verified as fact, so take it for what you will.
And I had warned people to stay away from coastlines and the Mississippi River, and said that you should migrate toward the center of the country, or at least away from the coastline. So when people ask about safe areas in the United States, look, anywhere that has high elevation or that's away from the coastline is always going to be a plus. The only thing you have to be careful of is the flat plains, anything that has flat plain land. There's a lot of flat plain land in Iowa, Missouri, and certain places in the Midwest that you do have to be careful for. But anything with higher elevation is going to be a huge plus. a lot of people are just not in the position to move, nor can they move. They don't have the money, the finances. They have kids in school. Listen, I understand all that, but I'm just letting you know, by 2027, if you can, get away from the coastline. Okay, the next question, and this kind of coincides with the first question. When will this happen? Look, I don't have a crystal ball, and nor do I claim to be God. I'm only going to go by documents that I've seen that I shouldn't be sharing with you, but anyway, documents that I've seen that coincide with this, okay? And this is 100% fact. When I say when this will happen, short answer, by 2027. It could be sooner. It could be next month. I don't know. I'll be honest with you. But by 2027, from the documents that I read and from what I've seen, there was a agenda here to change things around as far as what the United States is going to look like. Okay, next question. I need my glasses again. This is a great question, by the way. Whoever sent me this. What do you know about the food supply? Great question. Matter of fact, that should be one of the number one concerns on your mind, is what you put in your body. So what do I know about the food system or food supply? Well, number one, it's full of poison. Number two,
here's a photo of an elephant doing something scientists once thought was impossible. Using its tusks like pickaxes, it chips away at solid rock deep inside a cave. These Kenyan cave elephants squeeze through impossibly narrow passages, gradually carving out caves that can stretch for miles. But they're not looking for shelter, they're mining cave walls for mineral-rich salt, an essential nutrient that's scarce in their rainforest habitat. Generation after generation has followed the same underground routes, creating one of the animal kingdom's most extraordinary examples of natural mining.
So the man that helped make Jay-Z who he is coming out and saying that he did sell his soul to the devil. Now, for a lot of us, it's always made us think, like, you know, how can somebody like Dame get away with saying this, especially since he's been in the inner circles now? Call it revelation of the method, you know, call it karmic retribution, call it whatever you want. But a lot of times they do have to tell us who they are and who they work for. But check out this video, what he has to say about Jay-Z.
And I don't know how he gets out of going from a dread to an afro in a day without patches and nothing. Like, was it to hide horns? So to me, that's what it looks like when you owe the devil money. They make you dress funny. They take all your jewelry away. And then they make you do what they say. I watched what happened to Kev Hart the other day. It was sad. So I went from being like a little aggravated with him to now feeling sorry, because I'm actually watching what happens after 25 years after you sell your soul. You're in hell.
So he made it very clear that Jay-Z, he said 25 years ago, sold his soul to the devil. Dame would be the one who would know, because he was his right-hand man on the come-up. So is he telling us exactly who Jay-Z is? Now, it was supposed to come out a long time ago and be exposed that Jay-Z is absolutely another Diddy. From the Aaliyah allegations to the Foxy Brown stuff, you name it. We already know that he was screwing around with underage girls. But the question is now, is he really into some deep, dark magic and did sell his soul to the devil for fame and fortune? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments.
Did you know that not only humans can be considered witches, but also plants and plant spirits? To be a witch is to be a being who can transit in between worlds and in between realms. And certain plants have that same quality in their metaphysical properties. And when we talk about the plant spirits and plant teachers behind those very plants, when we talk about poisonous plants, poison in itself is something that does not fully belong to the physical realm, but we do see many myths that portray poison as a substance that comes from the underworld. It is liminal in its essence because it is both healing, but also baneful. From the metaphysical perspective, poison is not only capable of causing harm and healing, depending on the dose, but it is also able to spiritually open gateways of consciousness to other realms, simply working with the green entities of the herbs and plants that you use as ingredients in your craft. When you acknowledge a plant spirit and honor it before you use it as an ingredient, it becomes way more potent in your magic. And I think this also reveals a lot about the shamanic aspect of witchcraft, of not simply treating the ingredients that you use in your magic as physical materia, but cultivating that spiritual relationship and acknowledging those ingredients themselves have wisdom and have a spirit.
All right, South Africans, should we be worried about this? There's now an 81% chance that a super El Nino could hit our country later this year. And some experts are even saying that this could become the worst El Nino ever. Now, basically, what this El Nino means, in short, is it's a weather cycle which could lead to one of the hottest and driest summers that South Africa has had in years. But before anyone gets too panicked, this doesn't automatically mean we are going to have a lot less rainfall and a drought. And experts are saying that we need to just wait and see how this will actually affect our weather. And also, thankfully, this isn't our first super El Nino. We have had 3 before. You'll specifically remember the one in around 2015 and 2016 where we had a really bad drought. And what we do have going for us this time around is we've had 2 very strong rainy seasons in a row, meaning that dam levels are mostly full and soil moisture is healthier going into this potential drought than in previous years, such as 2016. It's important for everyone to know that there is a strong chance we will have a very dry and hot summer, but that doesn't mean people have to panic. Just be aware of it and carry out the necessary precautions.
So this is probably one of the craziest things I've came across surfing the web. So Jim Henson was into the occult and mysticism, apparently. In 1982, he directed a movie titled The Dark Crystal, which was said to be inspired by ideas from the Seth Material. So the Seth Material is a collection of writing channeled by Jane Roberts. She would use Ouija boards to try to channel this entity named Seth. So the book talked about metaphysics and multi-dimensions and shit. Now the crazy part is this former Marine named Kyle Odom. He started having these visions that were triggered by meditation. He said that there were amphibian reptilian aliens living underground with advanced tech, mind controlling our leaders. He says that the aliens view humans like zoo animals and inspire religions and cause global conflicts for amusement, sort of like some loose harvesting shit. But the crazy thing is, in his sketches, they all look like fucking Muppets, dog. What do you guys think? Tripping or nah?
Tripping.
Did you know that there's a glowing blue substance in plants that helps people to become telepathic? And it's been known about through Western science since the 1850s. In 1905, this substance was rediscovered and named telepathine because the plants that were being used by the indigenous people allowed them the capacity to see and find information about villages that were 100 miles away. The name was later changed from telepathine to harmine or harmaline. It was recognized that this substance was a substance that was previously isolated in the 1850s from the plant Peganum harmala. Harmala is an Arabic word meaning sacred and protected. The seeds of this sacred plant, Peganum harmala, were found to be under the tongues of pharaohs buried in Egypt.
I always wanted to use condoms, but I was assured that I wouldn't shoot very much. If you shoot with condoms in the industry, hardly anybody will shoot you. There's a few companies that will allow you to shoot with a condom. There's companies who they just won't shoot you if you choose to shoot with a condom. And then there's companies who say you can use a condom and then there's never condoms on their sets. So.
How are you made to feel if you wanted to use a condom?
Did you know that once you correct your status, the governments have to protect you, whether that's local, state, maybe even federal? Welcome to the cookout. Alright, so y'all see ILO Convention number 169. Self-identification as indigenous or tribal shall be regarded as a fundamental criterion. Alright, so it is a criteria to correct your status. Look at Article 2. Governments must develop coordinated and systematic actions to protect the rights of these people and to guarantee respect for their integrity. Y'all screaming, y'all tired of people bothering y'all, messing with y'all, saying y'all not indigenous, yada, yada, yada. Y'all tired of everything. Apparently y'all ain't that tired, because apparently you want to still go through it. Let's go even deeper. Alright. Article 13 through 16. Recognize special relationship to land and territories. Require identification, protection. My laptop shut off, but anyways, Look, they even talk about reparations. If y'all had removal without free and conformed consent, all of y'all who say that your land was taken, they have to ensure return and compensation where relocation occurs.
Something is happening in the streets of Nashville, Tennessee. The following video comes from a witness by the name of Indy. She recorded this directly outside her home, and what it appears to be is a person on the streets having an episode. But the thing is, she doesn't think this is drug related. She thinks this is something else, something demonic. And it's truly spooky. And if you listen to the sounds coming out of this unidentified individual, it does feel demonic. But we have to question, is this just a new drug or is it something else? Take a look at the footage, comment below, let us know what you think.
Is her back or his back okay? Psychosis. What did you take, man?
How is the military going to treat the infected, especially if they don't have an antidote?
When you're talking about a pathogen that's killing people in like 48 hours, speed is everything. The military, I learned, has issued 1.7 million gas masks to its personnel. So the military are protected. And there are 340 million Americans. So you do the math. And now you have another situation, which is the mask becomes a coveted item. There's a component of American infrastructure called critical infrastructure. The communication systems, the banking systems, the roads, the nuclear power plants.
Electrical grid.
Water treatment. This is critical infrastructure, and that needs to be guarded. And that's what the military begins to guard.
The semen demon, also known as the succubus. There's three main types: Jezebel, Lilith, and Delilah. These are ancient demons, y'all, and they can show up in different personality forms within men and within women. First off, we have the Jezebel spirit. In the Old Testament of the Bible, Queen Jezebel was married to King Ahab. King Ahab is what you would call a beta male simp or a cuck. Jezebel completely disrespected Ahab. She was always flirting and talking with other men. She was cheating on him. She didn't respect him. She wasn't afraid to lose him. She did whatever she wanted. This is the type of woman that does not like boundaries. If you try to set boundaries with her, she'll say you're controlling, insecure, and jealous. She's very promiscuous, always looking for attention and validation from others. And like I said, this can be in men as well, not just women. Next up, we have Lilith, also known as the wife of Satan. Y'all, I've met several women in the spiritual community who actually look up to and pray to Lilith, who is the queen of demons. In Kabbalah, which is Jewish mysticism, she lies in one of the klippoth on the tree of death. This is the spirit of feminism. There's a story that Lilith was the original wife of Adam, and she did not want to submit to him. She wanted to dominate him. Since Adam wouldn't submit to her, she left and became the wife of Satan. Many women who have been caught up in the lies of feminism and then get into spirituality and New Age end up worshiping this demon, and they start acting just like her by wanting to be the dominant one in the relationship rather than submitting and letting the man lead. Lastly, we have Delilah. This comes from the story of Samson, who had infinite strength, but then she seduced him into bed and slept with him and cut his hair off, and that's when he lost his power. However, I think the deeper meaning here is that he didn't necessarily lose his power when his hair was cut. He lost his power when he slept with Delilah, and she took his semen. There are many women that will get with men just to take their life force. This is the spirit of Delilah. And like I said, y'all, these can go for men as well. Men could want to take the life force of women. Men can be very abusive to women, and men can obviously be very promiscuous as well. So it goes both ways. So what's the solution? I created a semen retention success guide. If you'd love for me to send it to you, comment the word freedom and I'll send it over to you for free. Within it, I contain all the details on how to successfully overcome these challenges. May God Goddess bless all of y'all. Namaste.
Jezebel was the first liberal.
So remember how I said earlier in this speech that the farmers need to give up their farms before 2030, specifically that year. Yeah, so that's not a coincidence. That year doesn't come out of nowhere. So that year is basically the deadline that our global elites have given our country and will probably give you to abide by these new regulations. And that agenda is called the 2030 Agenda. And now I have a slide showing you what that entails. So the 2030 Agenda is a United Nations agenda. So there we go. Everybody is part of the United Nations, right? The entire world. And this agenda consists of 17 what they call sustainable development goals. And when you take a look at them right there, you're like, well, what's wrong with that? You know, they all seem very noble. No poverty, no hunger. Who could be against that? However, if we take a closer look at how they actually want to accomplish all of this, anybody with 2 functioning brain cells realizes that this cannot happen unless there is an active and maybe even forceful redistribution of goods, foods, property, and our rights, which basically comes down to the obliteration of all of our basic liberties and our rights. And these goals, as I said, are not restricted solely to the Netherlands. They are global. And that's where we see their true motive. The people behind this want to establish a one world government, a new world order in which they decide what we eat, when we eat, where we travel, when we travel, who we meet, and what we are allowed to spend our money on. Basically, control over every single aspect of our lives. And I'm sure that many of you have heard the famous sentence from Klaus Schwab, you know, where he says, you'll own nothing and you'll be happy, right? Yeah, that's this agenda. So why are the people behind this agenda specifically targeting farmers? Well, it's because obviously they really want our way of life and the things that we eat to radically change. They don't want us to eat foods that make us strong. They want us to eat synthetic meat created by Bill Gates. They want us to eat bugs. They want us to drink soy milk so that we become weak and obedient, and we do as they say, and we buy what they offer.
We don't consent. We won't comply.
On today's update of what the fuck is going on in this country, the U.S. Navy just updated an existing contract, accepting $55 billion from the Department of Homeland Security to fund concentration camps across this nation.
What?
The concentration camps in question are mostly centrally located, also very heavily on the East Coast and a little bit to the south as well. These concentration camps are tent cities, as they're described, that hold upwards of 10,000 people. The most sinister part about this entire thing is the fact that they're putting aside funds for biohazard incinerators. I'm going to say that one more time. Biohazard incinerators. I'm sorry, is that familiar? The DHS is anticipating high volumes of death. Do with this information what you will. Spread the word.
You know, BG, you know what I'm talking about, right? He's planning a deadlier PDMC.
Climate models are now warning that a super El Nino is forming, and the last time that this happened, it shattered every single temperature record ever held on Earth. So the NOAA just basically issued an El Nino watch, which means that conditions are now favorable for one of the most powerful weather patterns on the entire planet to return. And then actually, the European climate model is showing something much worse. There is a 98% chance of a moderate event by August, and then an 80% chance of a strong event, and a 22% chance it becomes a super El Nino. So what is that? A super El Nino, you might ask, is actually one of the rarest and most extreme climate events in recorded history. And then for all of the people that don't understand, because I'm people, normally winds push warm water westward across the Pacific, but during El Nino, those winds weaken and all of that stored heat rises to the surface and spreads. A climate scientist described this as the ocean unearthing heat that's been buried for years. So, what does that mean? Whenever it's strong enough, global temperatures will spike, droughts will deepen, floods will intensify, and storm patterns will shift across every single continent. There is a 90% chance that 2026 is going to finish as one of the 5 hottest years in history, and GTA 6 is still not even out yet.
You realize that this all enhanced by geoengineering. All right, folks, thank you for staying till the end. I hope you like my lineup. Don't forget to subscribe, likes, and hit that bell notifications. You won't miss my next video. Have an awesome day. God bless.